Okay. So yeah, I just want to make it easy as easy as possible. So if you can't do the thing or you want to send an existing photo, you can do it just to make it a little bit easier. So just put that in the chat box. And then what we're also doing, so normally what we do is we actually do something on Red Day, which Red Day is the 14th of May. And since we did this and we have this and we wanted to get the mask sooner, we're doing all of this before Red Day. So Dylan's compiling a collage or a montage or whatever you want to call it. That he's going to put together, and that will be released, and then you can post it like on social media and stuff. The other thing is we have an agent who was working on, coincidentally, a food drive that she was going to be doing on the 15th. And she was kind of asking for help, or if there's anybody who wanted to help with that. And she was asking for some advice, and she wanted to know if she could use the parking lot where our Kihei office is to have the food drive and you know, collect food and whatever it is that she's putting together. So I told her, I asked her, I said, well, if you want to do it on the 14th, that is Red Day, and that's when all the offices are closed, and that's when we might be able to get you some more help to assist physically with the food drive. And this would be on Maui, unless you want to do the same thing on the Big Island. It's Liza Rivera. So she said, yes, she definitely will do it on the 14th. So it's on Red Day. And that way, if anybody, yeah.
I told her I'm checking with our landlord to get permission to use the parking lot.
Yes.
So we don't have that yet.
Okay, well, in any case,
tomorrow.
Okay, cool. I mean, I think in any case, she's going to do some kind of a food drive there, which that is in Kihei. And yeah, I told her to check with you to see if we can actually do that in the parking lot. So just put on your calendars and plan if you want to participate in that. And I think, so Michelle, do you know if is she doing the collection of the food donations at that point, or is she actually going to have the food that she's going to give out to people? Do you know?
I have no idea, but I was just trying to secure permission from the landlord.
Okay, so yeah, she's not on the call. I have to get some more information. Let me just look at the text from her and see if it tells me what she's doing. And again, if you guys want to do anything on the Big Island or Kauai, that's, you know, an actual thing you're doing on Red Day, that's still great. I mean, you know, the more the better, but we're definitely gonna, because we needed to get to the masks to people earlier. Okay, so she's collecting food. So she's collecting food and money for the Maui. It actually goes to the Maui Food Bank. So she said with every dollar donated, the food bank can provide up to 4 meals and to our community. And then the top items needed are financial contributions, canned meat and tuna. So we'll send this out: canned fruits and vegetables, canned meals and soups, cereal, rice, and pasta. So she will be collecting donations that day. So it wouldn't even really be to go there unless you want to go and ask her if she wants you to be there to help collect. But at least go and maybe drop off those items. So we will send once we get confirmation of the location and what it is that she needs. There's a little flyer, it looks like. We'll send that out to everybody. And then if you want to do the same thing on the Big Island or on Kauai on Red Day, which is the 14th, so that's next Thursday, and collect it for whatever your, you know, for us it's Maui Food Bank. I'm sure you have that in Kona and Hilo. So then you can do the same thing if you want, which would be great. So that's just another opportunity for you to do something that would be great and helpful. And it's awesome that one of our agents is putting that together. So
hey, Lisa, does she by any chance have a way that if we want to contribute money, we can do it virtually? Does she have a PayPal link or anything?
I don't know. I mean, well, you can always send money to the Maui Food Bank. I think they will collect it. But as far as it being part of this drive, I'm not sure. So I can ask her that.
Thanks.
Sure, online donation.
Hey, Dylan, those masks for the Big Island, are they coming to the Kona side or the Hilo side or both?
Both. Whoever was on the Kona side, what they bought is coming to them, and vice versa.
So what do you mean coming to them? You sent as a chunk to somewhere, right? Or did you? What address did you send the Kona ones to?
Errol asked me to send Kona to his address, his personal.
To Errol, okay. And then Hilo went to Rochelle?
Yep.
Okay, awesome.
And one of my agents, Ronnie, was telling me that you can't actually take these masks to the hospital. That she sent me a link saying that these masks that are being donated to the Kona Hospital have to be dropped off at the ambulatory facility in their parking lot under a tent. And I'm
Sure.
sure there's something similar for Waimea. So you can't actually go to either location to drop it off.
Right. So what my suggestion to you is wherever you go, take a picture of wherever you are dropping them off. If you can get, and then Dylan will collect. So then ask them to send pictures. You can give them Dylan's information or your information when they pass them out and they're using them. We'd love to have pictures of them wearing the masks. Dylan's going to do that. Dylan, same thing. He's not going to the hospital. He's going to drop it off at a first responder's property. And so, you know, but he's going to go take pictures at the hospital too, because we're going to put a collage together. So even if you can't go directly there, take a picture of that facility, take a picture, you know, have the people send you pictures, and we can compile some stuff. That would be great.
I can send that right away. I have a couple photos of our hospital here in Kona already.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Great. Okay, Robert, are you on? I don't see Robert. Okay, Latasha, can you text Robert and remind him to jump on, because I want to talk about a couple things.
Sure.
And then let's talk about Dan. You want to talk about is Jordan on, or you want to talk about what Jordan Sonner is doing over there?
Yeah, I can address that. So
Okay.
Jordan, one of our agents on the Hilo side, decided to get a little industrious and entrepreneur, and she ordered her own Matterport camera and taught herself how to do Matterport, and then decided to offer up her services to all of the KW Big Island agents at a extremely reduced rate. I mean, it was really, really inexpensive. And so I know one of our agents, Carol Ann, took her up on that on Tuesday, and Jordan came from the east side to the west side, and we didn't want to waste her time. And so Carol Ann actually had all 3 of her listings shot by Jordan while she was on this side. And we tried to organize other agents and so forth that wanted it done. But the net effect is that, as you know, HIS, or may not know, HIS here is now giving a field inside HIS where you can connect your Matterport tour for people to see. And Carol Ann quickly dropped all 3 tours into HIS, and she said she was absolutely amazed at how many people were clicking on the links and viewing the Matterport tours in just a matter of 24 hours. So she got virtual real quick, thanks to Jordan's help. And we're going to continue to utilize Jordan on the west side of the island. She's going to be our go-to gal for all our Matterports and our listings.
It's awesome. Yeah, I love that story, and that, you know, Carol Ann pivoted and that she took advantage of the forum that now allows you to have those virtual tours, and she's getting a lot more exposure in her listing. We also have, so on Maui, Grace Sales, who is an agent with us, she also, her company does Matterport, and she's an agent with us. So it's just like Jordan on the Big Island, she will do Matterport for our agents. So she's in our Facebook group, and maybe Latasha, you could put her, I don't know if you have her company name, or at least put her, maybe your contact information in the chat box. And Dan, you can put Jordan's in the chat box for anybody for Big Island that wants to contact her. I think it's a really great thing. And actually I do want some clarity. Marion, you may know the answer to this. I haven't been able to reach out yet. Do you know, so Dan McDonald texted me and said that they had set up virtual tours in our MLS, or virtual open houses in our MLS. He didn't say virtual tours, he said virtual open houses. So do you know anything about the logistics of that, or what people are doing, or do they just go to the open house? Do you know anything about how they actually do that?
I do not.
Okay.
I do not know
Just
anything about
curious. It would be something for, you know, if anybody's done that. I don't know if anybody really knows that exists yet now in our MLS, but it does. I did ask Dan about branded versus unbranded videos, because sometimes people are doing virtual open houses and they're recording it and then they're posting it, and they may brand it in some way. And I know that normally isn't allowed. However, I know like Oahu is allowing right now, and I don't know if the Big Island is, but they have more flexibility about that, and they're allowing stuff to be branded just because people are using videos in the capacity they can do it. or they have already taken videos or whatever. So they're allowing them to upload those. I don't know that at this point he said that it's preferable that they're unbranded, but he didn't say they actually, sounds like they didn't really have that conversation. Okay, a couple things in the chat box. Eva says, virtual donations for the Maui Food Bank can be tracked if donors note a tag word in the notes of the donation platform, for example, KW Red Day or something like that. Okay, that's awesome, Eva. So that's good to know. And Dan put Jordan's email address and then Grace Sales' address for Matterport. So that is good. Thank you. And so I'm just going to talk real briefly on behalf of Oh, okay. Robert's going to join soon. Latasha's saying to me. Okay, so then I'll go through a couple other things while we're waiting for Robert. One of the calls, yeah.
Sorry, this is
Lovette,
Lovette.
yeah.
So talking about the HIS and about the virtual
Yes.
war, we will be actually inviting our HIS people to come on our talk story every Thursday. So we're kind of inviting them to show us how those virtual open house will be working for us and for the members for HIS. So that's part of our agenda that we're going to try to invite them over for that. So maybe that's something that you may want to do, is just reach out to your local MLS to see if they will do a presentation. But that's what that's what we're doing here for the Big Island for WAR, at least for the WAR members.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for that info, Livette. That's great. So somebody sent me a message that they donated to the Maui Food Bank. They didn't know we were doing this for Red Day. I mean, you guys, if you already donated, I mean, you could say, hey, put this under Red Day. We're going to be doing this now. If you want, if they will, if not, it's okay that you're an awesome person for donating to the Maui Food Bank. Okay. So I want to go back and talk a little bit about this morning. I got to get on, we have a team meeting at 9 o'clock with our office. So I wasn't on the Coach's Corner for the full 2 hours, although I was on it for some of the time. And those of you who were on the Bold Coach's Corner, if you have any other takeaways to share, that would be great. One of the things that I really liked, and I've heard this before, and I use this when I talk about DISC assessments, the coach was talking about today in terms of our ability to, why it's so important to have an accountability partner in what we're doing and as we change our strategies and actions and daily habits. And he talked about, he said, somebody had asked a question about how do they not go back to their old habits. So they're starting to build new habits and sometimes they find themselves falling back into old habits. And number one, he mentioned an accountability partner. And one of the reasons that really helps you to stay on track, and it allows you, he said, think of a rubber band. And he said, your habits are like a rubber band. And when you stretch the rubber band, by changing something, what does the rubber band typically want to do? That's a question. It's not rhetorical. Get off mute. What does the rubber band want to do?
Snap back. It goes back.
Yes, Sam. Thank you. Thank you, Sam. Yeah, it's going to have tension and want to snap back. So it really helps you to be able to, to avoid that happening. And this is kind of like, again, you have an accountability partner or something that's helping you to keep that rubber band. And then eventually that rubber band, he didn't say this, this is my addition to that analogy, may reshape or stretch out or allow you to now form a new habit. So you don't have that kind of stress or tension on it. It does take, that's why they say 66-day challenge, because that is the average that it takes to rebuild a habit. So that tension on that rubber band is going to be the strongest typically at the beginning. And then as you get further into that 66 days, it's going to reshape and change. I also use that when we're talking about behavioral styles and stretching the rubber band. But anyway, I thought that was just a good reminder and why they encouraged everybody in Bold to have somebody that is their accountability partner. So that helps prevent going back to the other habits. Because it's also a personal coach. He talked about when you have a personal trainer, and that's why you do that. Is Robert on yet?
Hello.
Hi, Robert. Awesome.
How are you?
So
I've got,
good,
I've got
you.
a phone call waiting on hold with VRBO. So.
Oh, okay.
I might have to jump off, but.
Okay. Well, what I wanted you to speak to is what we were talking about today, which, a couple of the things that are going on in command.
Yes.
especially the calling thing, because I thought that was really cool. So can you
Can
talk
I
about
come in
that?
in just a couple seconds? Because I
You
just
can-
got unholded, so I'll be right
You
back.
can totally do that. And in the meantime, I'm going to go through some more of my Gary Keller notes while we're waiting for, I'm looking for the ones that actually are highlighted. Here we go. Okay. So yesterday we talked about the emergency room and reiterating that, which Todd and Dean had also talked about. And so the next thing that I really wanted to go through with you was how to thrive. So, you know, this is again, Keith Cunningham was talking about this in the interview with Gary Keller. So in addition to functioning like we're working in an emergency room right now, we also need to, he said, we're also setting ourselves up to thrive when things change. And that sales is a byproduct of amazing service. We've talked about being of service right now and how important, he talked about how important it is to know scripts and dialogues and how to help with the sales part of that process. Because that's how you're providing service, by knowing your scripts and dialogues. And he kind of talked about that. So here were 6 points that he talked about that were how to thrive and things that you want to be focusing on and thinking about right now. Number 1 is resetting the vision of what you want to accomplish. Basically, it's called reset the vision. So what does your business look like for you 3 years from now? What do you imagine your business can be 3 years from now? And start plotting that now and really look at both short-term tactics and long-term strategies. And I think I did say this on the call that we talked about it being a push year, and the goal is to survive it. So don't expect to have the best year of your life and your business this year. If anything, it's a matter of just getting through. And if you're able to have an incredible business this year, awesome for you. He does expect that if you put things in place, you'll be able to do that later. And he gave a couple of examples. He talked about his own experience. And he said, so we talked about variety, spice of life. I remember saying that. He said, hope is an emotion, not a strategy. So don't get caught up in hoping things are going to be better. And, you know, again, you can kind of control what that looks like for you. He said, okay, so that's pretty much reset the vision. And then the number 2 is be lead gen based, of course, right? We know this. We know we want to be lead gen based. And he said, be service based while you're doing it. So be sure you're doing your lead generation activities and also make sure that you're being of service while you do it. Number 3 is have education and training that supports your lead generation. So what that means for you guys is participate in. For me, it means I offer it to you. For you, it means you have to take advantage of it. You show up, you're doing the shift calls, you're in bold. That's exactly what you need to be doing right now, is seeking out those training and those things that are going to help give you support so that it supports the lead generation activities that are going to get your business going. And he gave an example. He talks about spending, I mean, we always talk about this in the, you know, your ad campaigns and command. Everybody is talking about that, by the way. So we know that it's working really well for people across the country. So I push that a lot. The number 4 is model and margin to fairly compete for your unfair share. So this came up on the shift call today. Somebody was asking about, you know, maybe changing what you're offering in terms of your services or commissions. That was one of the examples that was given. And we kind of spoke to that. And we said in general, that's not really a strategy that you want to implement. However, what you do want to implement is paying attention to what your competition is doing. So if you're going up in listing appointments against somebody else from another brokerage, what is it that they're offering that is different than you're offering, as people tell you that, or as you hear something that's a value proposition? It could be a personal value proposition, could be a company-wide value proposition. So you want to make sure that you're modeling your own business to fairly compete and margining that. So if you need to do something really cool and different that maybe costs you a little bit more money, like you offer some kind of a buyer credit, or whatever it is that you want to do that's different. Some teams and companies have their own, if we don't sell your house, we'll buy it strategy. And I'm just giving you a couple of examples of thinking about how do you stay in the game and compete, especially if you're getting leads or you're getting business from people that are outside of your sphere, because now you're really competing. People inside of your sphere, you still compete. It's just a lot of times it's just a referral or a come list me. So think about that. Number 5 is be money smart. Again, the first dollar, you've heard this a couple times, first dollar you make is the first dollar that you don't spend. So a penny saved is a penny earned. Run a tight budget that matches your income. You guys should have already gone through the process of going through your budget, figuring out what you actually make and what you have every month in income or what you're anticipating in income, so that you don't overspend and that you build reserves. And then he also talked about selling underperforming assets. I mean, if you're holding on to real estate, or maybe not a real estate asset, another asset that's not performing, whether it's stock market, this is a good time to like reposition that money and look at what you want to do, whether it's in reserves or you can make it work for you in another type of investment, or you're positioned to be able to take advantage of opportunities as they come up, whether it's a property that you want to buy or whatever that is, to be money smart. And, he said 80 cents on the dollar can buy you. He said, even if you have to sell on 80 cents a dollar. And he gave examples of what he did the last time he took advantage of the market is, he sold stuff for cheap, and then he was able to buy really smart. So he said 80 cents on the dollar now can buy you $5 worth of value later after this. So keep that in mind. And number 6 was have an investment strategy and master it. He talked about the greatest boom in history. He talked about the last shift, what he's done in previous shift. He talked about his own situation, which was pretty bad. And he just said it's your mind that needs adjusting. And then to have a model to recognize what an investment strategy would be. So he gave a really cool example that I want to implement in our office, which was he used to have groups in his office. And these groups would be things like, I wrote it down, it's the end. So an example was like a group that was investments. So he would have a group of agents that specialized in, investment properties. He would have a group of agents that specialized in relocation, home builders, working with home builders or developers, for example. And they came up with some really innovative things that allowed them to create more business around that idea and that niche. And he also said that they would create, what do you call that? It's like an investment overview of that. So like, say whatever it was that your specialization was, you would show the value in a presentation to the other agents about why they would want to invest in X, whatever it is, whether it was the project you were doing or whether it was in the investment properties that you were doing. Or so you would have to show a financial analysis of that. And that's what he means about being prepared and have an investment strategy in place so that you can help clients with that and you can help yourself in your own wealth building with that when opportunities come up. And it made people really good at a certain niche. And again, they created websites around it. It allowed them to market and collect leads from it. So I kind of really like that idea. And it's something that I'm figuring out how we can implement. Okay, Robert. So let me check the chat box. Okay,
There we
Robert,
go.
can you talk about command and what we were talking about today?
Yeah, specifically, refresh my memory. I know that one of them, if anybody's looking at the consumer app, make sure that you have version 6.2.0. That's the newest one. If you don't have that, go to your Play Store, your Apple Store, and get the update. There's some pretty cool updates that have come down. So that's a cool thing. The other one was in
Calls.
command. Oh,
Making
calls.
phone calls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Inside something new that's happened, and I don't know how long it's actually been there, but I picked it up the other night, was you can go into a contact record now, and inside the contact record, you can see their phone number and their email. If you click on the phone number, you can call from your computer. So what happens when you click on that phone number on the contact card in Command is another applet comes up and allows you to take notes on that call, and then logs that into the timeline record in Command. So it's a pretty cool thing. So the caveat with that is we don't have an owned dialer yet. So if you're an Android user and you're using Chrome, it'll probably ask you to use Google Voice. If you're a Mac user, it'll probably ask you to set up FaceTime so that you can make calls from your computer. But it is possible now. So inside Command, you can make calls from the contact card. Pretty cool. And take notes at the same
Super
time.
cool. Super cool. Awesome. Thank you. I wanted you to share that, so thank you. Okay, who has questions or wants to share some takeaways from either the Bold coaching session this morning or those of you who are on shift, which was phenomenal today. Chad Shimabukuro is ridiculous. The guy's a rock star. He is so good, and he's had so much great value today as far as listing. So if you did not get on that, you are going to want to watch that recording. And I mean, there were a couple huge takeaways that I had from that. Daniel saying shift was off the hook. Yeah, you have to catch
Can I
the
chime in
webinar.
on that? I mean, I've been
Please.
in this office since 7:30, and I was and then all these clients calling, and I had one earplug with the phone in one ear and him on the other, and I didn't want to stop listening to Chad because everything he was saying was so spot on in every area of listing challenges and so clean and clear that I have to digest it all and go back and look at it again and again.
So, okay, thank you, Joyce. Yeah, it was so good. So Daniel, do you want to share anything from today? Like a couple of your top takeaways? I know one of your top takeaways was my top takeaway too. Jasmine saying, where can we get the recording if we missed it? So Latasha sends out every Friday, right? Latasha, you send out the promotion for the next shift for the next Wednesday, and then you have all the recordings on there, correct? Is that how we're doing it right now?
Yes, correct.
So Jasmine, on Friday, you're going to get an email from Front Desk, and it's going to be talking about the upcoming shift on Wednesday next week. And in that email, all the videos are in there. I don't know in the meantime, is there any way for her to get it, or is there any place to go to a link? Like if you go to the link for the other shifts, is it showing up in there? Like if you share a link and she just clicks on that, can she
No,
find
because
the
it
other?
takes
Oh, okay.
a long time to upload and then download again, because I'm basically getting it from Zoom and then transferring it to YouTube, and it takes a long time, and then there's a copyright that I have to get past, so it takes a little bit. It's not an
So it'll be there if you look for that email on Friday. I think that's the best way to do it. Thank you, Latasha, and thanks for Marion was sharing some stuff on there. So thank you for helping and chiming in. So Marion, do you want to share a takeaway, or Daniel? I'm just looking to see who else was on that. I think Christina was on that.
He was awesome, and he also I just loved it. And I teach listing classes at RAM, right? It was just phenomenal. He was so clear. I loved some of his scripts, just really short, clear, to the point. He also made a really strong point to me about digging into your stats, like really getting to know the market that you're talking to this seller about, as well as the general market. And the more that you can present your statistics and the more you can show your comps and have really done your homework, the easier it is to have the pricing conversation.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, you can see why he was so successful at picking up so many listings and getting sellers. And it's not that he necessarily, I mean, one takeaway for me was, I'm thinking, okay, he didn't necessarily have more appointments, because we talk a lot about it's a numbers game, and the more appointments you have, you're going to have a conversion rate, which everybody does. I would bet his conversion rate is just that much higher than everybody else's, right? Because he is so good at scripts. He's so good at objection handling. He's so good at the data that he's really just able to get the listing, number one, rather than it going to somebody else. And number two, get the seller where the seller needs to be to make it a great listing. And yeah, thank you for that. Super good. What else?
Also, he said he would share his PowerPoint
Yep.
I took several screenshots because I was
Me
like, I didn't
too.
want to miss it. I didn't want to miss it. So maybe Latasha can send out his PowerPoint along with the video or whatever, but it'd be great
Yeah.
to have access to that.
Yeah, we're going to send that out to everybody who registered. We'll get that. I mean, we could send it to all of our agents as well. So, because he made some changes in there with his own notes. And then Daniel, do you want to share a top takeaway? I know you were typing. I don't know if you can talk. Maybe you can't talk. I'll share. I know one of the things Daniel and I both loved was, and we're going to kind of explore in our MLS what we can do, but in High Central, which is right their MLS on Oahu, they have the ability, Lavette, you were on that too. Where'd she go? She was on that too. They have the ability to basically reverse prospect any agent whose buyer added your listing. So if he had Chad has a listing, you know how we have like our collab center and we send out listings to people on our collab center and they can mark if they have a favorite, our clients. He has the ability to, he can't see who the client is, but he can see that a client that an agent had sent the listing to, even if it was like on auto, say it was on an auto, and his listing went to somebody's client and that client marked it as like a favorite, he can see that. So what he can see is the agent's name. So then he would pick up the phone. It would have a list that populates. He would pick up the phone to all those agents and say, hey, I see your client, whatever. He had such a better script than this. I don't know, something to the effect of your client, you know, was interested in the property. And then he would remind the agent of that property. The agent may not have even known the client liked it. The agent may not have even seen the listing themselves. So it would open up that conversation and he would help get that client to a showing with the agent's cooperation, the buyer's agent, and then move the deal forward, right? And hopefully get it into escrow. So, I mean, it was just so awesome. That was a really, really huge takeaway that I had. Daniel's saying, I love how much he utilized data to drive the listing appointment, taking emotions out of the equation as much as possible. The idea of a pre-list packet, dropping it off beforehand to see the home, neighborhood, etc. Also utilizing data during the listing period to explain what he is doing on a weekly basis to sell the listing. Yeah, all really good stuff. So definitely check that out and watch that. Okay, you guys, that's all I have for today. We're at almost 4:40. Does anybody have any other takeaways, questions, comments that they want to share? It is a little weird doing these at 4 o'clock, huh? We got bold in the morning. So, so tomorrow we have bold, and anything else we have going on that you guys want to mention? Marion or Dan or Rochelle or Nicole? Michelle? Okay. All right, you guys, awesome. Thank you so much for being on the call. And
Sorry about that. I couldn't unmute quick enough.
that's okay. I'm fast. I'm
I'm
fast.
still here.
I have something.
Okay. Yes,
And
Marion.
that is that we are doing from 10 to 11:30, we're having a power hour for everybody. And especially for those of you in bold, but for anybody. And so we're going to spend 15 minutes script practice, an hour of calling, and then coming back together and debriefing. So it's a Zoom, and you go off and make your calls, of course, by yourself, but then we all regroup. So come and join us. It should be on the calendar, I hope.
Awesome, you guys. Thank you so much. Thanks, Marion. And we'll talk soon. Have a great night.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Leave.